Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Mordecai the Builder, and for the past several months, we've been documenting the progress of what it's like building my very own house. And today I want to go over the top 5 questions I got on Instagram about what it was like building my very own house. Now, the first question I got was, how much did it cost to build everything? And the total came out to $250,000, and that's because I did most of the labor myself with the help of my dad, my brother, a couple of friends, my wife pitched in. It was really a community effort to get this house done. And I actually talked to a contractor friend of mine about it, and he told me that if I had hired him or somebody else, it would have cost around $500,000 to build this house, which is crazy to think about how much we saved. Even though it took me 10 months of my time to build it, it was well worth that, because in equity, I built about $200,000 in equity in this home. And to me, that is well worth it, better than any job I could have taken. Now, I did hire out a few things like the concrete work, the sheetrock, the HVAC, and I did not do those myself. So had I done those myself, it would have been a little bit less, but it was well worth hiring that out. Now, the second question I got was, why don't you start an interior design business? And I think this question is hilarious because I did not design anything in this house. My wife found things on Pinterest. We looked at pictures on Google Images. We found things that we liked, and then we just copied it from there. So I'm not that great at coming up with new ideas, but I'm really good at copying what other people have already done and putting that into my own house. So I think for now, I'll stick with building and making YouTube videos for you guys to watch. Which brings me to the third question, which is, what was the hardest thing to do on this house? Now, that answer comes in 2 parts. One would be, what was the most physically challenging thing to do? And part 2 would be, what was the most mentally challenging thing to do? And for the physical part of it, I would definitely say hanging siding, because the siding that I put on was 4x10 sheets of Hardie, and those things weigh a ton. And most of that I had to do by myself. Mentally, I would say that I love seeing things go up really quickly. And so after framing, you have to do a bunch of blocking and a bunch of wiring and a bunch of plumbing, and you just don't see as much happen. Even though you're working for weeks on end and getting a lot of stuff done, it's not visual things that you see happening. And so those were definitely the 2 hardest things for me to do on this house. And so the fourth question I got was, how much time do you spend a day on the house? And that really depends on a lot of things. Because in the beginning, I had my dad's help for about 3 weeks before he went to Hawaii. So I was working 12 hours a day, trying to get as much as I could out of the time that I had with him. Now, he only worked 8 hours a day with me on average, but I would continue working until dark just to get as much done as possible, so that when he showed up the next day, we could continue further and further and further to get as far ahead as I could before I was on my own. And then after he left, I still worked about 8 to 10 hours a day on the house. But then my wife graduated from college, and so she started her job as a nurse in the ER, which left me to watch my daughter on some days or drop her off at her grandparents' house. And so on those days, I would either stay home and watch my daughter, or I would drop her off and I'd probably get 6 or 7 hours of work in before I'd have to go pick her up again. But then on days where my wife was off, I would work for 10 to 12 hours a day, trying to get as much as I could done. And by yourself, things just go really, really slowly, and that's okay. And then towards the end, when we were approaching the final inspection, I killed myself on this house. I was here at 7 or 8 a.m., working until 7 or 8 p.m., every single day, trying to get as much as I could done so that we could move in as soon as possible. And now that we've moved in, I've slowed down a lot, started hanging out with my friends more. So probably on average now, I've been spending 3 to 4 hours a day just piddling around, trying to finish up some of the things in order to get ready for the appraisal. And last but definitely not least, the final question we got was, when can I move in? The house looks amazing. And I'm sorry to say, you can't move in. As much as I love to share my house with people, this is gonna be our home for now. Maybe one day it will be on Airbnb, and then you guys will be able to come and check it out. But for now, it's gonna be our home, and this is where we will live. But I'm glad you enjoy the house and think it's beautiful and want to move in. So those are the top 5 questions I got over on Instagram. Make sure to follow me on Instagram at Mordecai the Builder. If you're interested in being a part of questions like these, I love talking to you guys, getting to know you guys, answering DMs and comments as much as I can. I love y'all and hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day.